All right, let's make a table. So open up Blender. We have this cube. You can click on it and delete it. We're not going to be needing it. Let's add a mesh. Let's add a plane. Haven't used a plane yet. And let's go ahead and switch to our edit mode, which you can just press tab to switch to edit mode, to and from edit mode if you'd like, or you can just pick edit mode there. Then press F3 on your keyboard. And this will allow you to search for a tool called Subdivide. So click that first one, and your plane will be subdivided in 4 sections. How do you know? Well, up on the top left, if you hit the face select, you can select all 4 of these faces. Keep this one, but let's delete these 3. And by holding shift, you can select multiple faces. So once you have these 3 selected, delete and delete the faces. So you should just be left with 1 face left. Go back into object mode. You can press tab to do that, or just go over there. And with this selected, let's add a modifier. We're going to add the mirror modifier, which does something pretty cool. So you should see one of these faces come back. That's because we are mirroring over the x-axis. But let's mirror over the y-axis as well. So with both the x and y selected, you now should have your plane back. All right. Let's go into, let's stay in object mode. With this thing selected, press E. Actually, probably best we go into edit mode. And let's press E to give our table top some depth. So this is the top of our table. All right. You can click this bottom, this blue minus Z, to go under the table like so. While still in edit mode, let's add a cube. Now it looks like nothing happened, but trust me, you did add a cube. It's just it's the exact same size as the table above it. So don't press anything, just press S on your keyboard, and you can scale that cube down. See, now we can see that cube. And this is going to be the leg of our table. So I don't know, maybe like that big or something. Now press G to freely move this cube, and you're going to notice something pretty cool. If you go over here, you've got 3 other table legs popping up. That's because we have the mirror modifier selected, so that anything we do in this square, you can see these lines. This square of our table is being mirrored in all 4 quadrants. It saves us time so that we don't have to do this for all 4 different edges of our table. So this is the table leg, so just put it right there, somewhere in the corner. And now, if I rotate up, I can see these little short legs of my table. Well, with face view selected up here, face select, I can click this face of my table, or my table leg. Notice you won't be able to click these 3. That's because these are the mirrored ones. This quadrant, this square, is our original one that's being mirrored. So we have to work with this thing. So if you can't click these, it's because you're clicking the wrong ones. It's this one. Now with that table leg selected, press E to extrude, and you can make those table legs come down just like that. Cool. There's one other thing we can do here. So go back into object mode so that you have the entire table selected. Press Control A on your keyboard. This is going to let us to apply a scale. And we don't really need to know too much about applying a scale, but it is really important when we try to bevel things. And let's try to bevel this thing right now. So in object mode with my table selected, I'm going to add another modifier. So this little wrench, I'm going to add a bevel. And you should see that my table kind of has some rounded edges now, instead of just being a big blocky Minecrafty looking table. So in bevel, there's two things I can change. I can change the amount and I can change the segments. So if I increase the segments, I am basically exponentially increasing how many rounded edges I give this table. So maybe I'll give it 3. And you can play around with the mount. I would just leave it as, what was it, 0.1? And the more segments you add, the more processing your program is doing. So you might actually crash your computer if you turn that amount up by too much. So that's why I just like to leave it at 3, something nice and simple. And there you have a pretty simple, easy table ready to go in your other programs. So now that I'm done with this table, File, Save As, and you should see your H drive. The H drive has your student number in front of it. So give that a click and make sure you're in your ICT folder and your Blender folder. So you might have to make these folders if you don't have them. Click on your Blender folder and save it as table, because that's what we just made. Cool.